A judge's verdict is set before the trial begins, but one woman's defiance ignites a fire that exposes a rigged system and sparks a revolution. The federal courthouse on Market Street stood like a stone colossus, its marble facade masking a theater of power where justice was often just a script. At 6:21 a.m., Pam Bondi's phone buzzed in the dim light of her Philadelphia brownstone kitchen, the screen casting a cold glow across her face. No caller ID, no pleasantries, just a single, chilling sentence. "It's not a hearing, it's a setup. Guess who's directing?" Pam read it twice, then a third time, her bare feet rooted to the cool tile floor. Outside, the city slumbered, but someone had already lit a fuse. She didn't need to guess the director's name. Only one judge wielded such theatrical venom, cloaked in legal robes. Tanya Chutkan, a jurist whose gavel fell not with impartiality, but with the sharp edge of loyalty. In Chutkan's courtroom, neutrality was a performance, and if your politics leaned toward Florida or echoed 2020, you were already condemned. Pam exhaled, leaning against the counter, the silence around her thick with foreboding. No coffee yet, just a pre-folded government envelope glaring from the table. Notice of administrative contempt. A $1,200 fine, an optional reprimand. Optional in Washington's twisted lexicon, meaning we'll see how well you grovel. The offense, 7 minutes late to a procedural hearing the previous week. 7 minutes. But in D.C.'s charged air, tardiness wasn't about time. It was a weapon. Pam knew this wasn't paperwork. It was a message, screaming with intent. She glanced at the clock, 90 minutes until she'd face the lion's den. This wasn't about delay. It was about destruction. Her phone buzzed again, a familiar voice, urgent, weary. Today's the day. They're targeting legal defense funds, retroactive, tied to Trump's circle. Navarro, Meadows, and you. Pam didn't flinch. "Chutkan's name on page 1? She asked, sliding her blazer off the hook. Silence followed. No goodbye, no luck, just the weight of truth. Pam settled into the SUV, the envelope in her lap like a guillotine blade. The fine was trivial. The intent was seismic. No crime, no complaint, just a vague citation for lateness. But in her world, nothing from a federal courthouse arrived without purpose. Her driver turned off Market Street, and Pam's fingers danced across her laptop, pulling up court dockets. There it was. Case 24, ACE 1765, Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Judge Tanya S. Chutkan, administrative contempt, penalty up to $2,500 plus reprimand. No pre-trial conference, no prior notice. They didn't want her prepared. They wanted her off balance, on camera, a headline pre-written, Trump-era official sanctioned for defying court. Pam closed the laptop, her eyes narrowing as the courthouse loomed. Reporters milled at the entrance, badges flipped, eyes scanning for her SUV. She adjusted her collar, whispering to herself, "This isn't a hearing, it's a stage. Let's rewrite the script." Stepping onto the pavement, the air crackled with pre-storm electricity, a breeze lifting her coat's edges. Pam's heels echoed like a countdown as she crossed the courthouse threshold. Security didn't blink, but the weight of their stares followed her. Courtroom 3B smelled of fresh paper and stale narratives, its rows filled not with law students but staffers in pressed suits, screens glowing with purpose. At the bench sat Judge Chutkan, her black robes more ceremonial than judicial, her hands folded with theatrical calm, her eyes glinting with predatory glee. "Ms. Bondi," she said, voice slicing the air, "nice of you to join us. This isn't Fox News." Gasps rippled, smirks flickered, the court reporter's fingers pausing to savor the barb. Pam didn't react. She walked to the defendant's desk, unbuttoning her coat with the precision of a prosecutor who'd toppled corrupt empires. Her folder, thin but heavy with intent, landed on the table, its weight rivaling Chutkan's gavel. Just 30 minutes earlier, Another name had been called. Rick Alvarez, DNC strategist. Podcast darling, strolling in 20 minutes late, cold brew in hand, mumbling about security delays. Chutkan had smiled, waved it off, no fine, no reprimand. But for Pam, 6 minutes late due to a classified DOJ briefing, Chutkan leaned forward, her voice dripping with relish. "This court views tardiness as contempt," she declared. "Given your background, Ms. Bondi, I trust you know what contempt looks like." The gallery shifted, sensing blood. Pam stood unmoved, her voice steady, unyielding. "Your Honor, my delay was due to a federal alert on unlawful interference with legal defense operations, issues this court may soon be forced to confront." The words landed like a slap, sharp and deliberate. A cough broke the silence, a stifled laugh followed. Chutkan's jaw clenched, her syrupy tone barely masking fury. "You're toying with the line, Ms. Bondi." Pam met her gaze, unflinching. "I'm not toying, Your Honor. I'm standing where the Constitution allows." The room's temperature dropped, every head swiveling. This wasn't a defendant dodging punishment. This was a prosecutor turning the spotlight. A staffer in the back adjusted their phone, capturing Pam and the screen behind her. Chutkan leaned back, her smile venomous. "This isn't a campaign stop, Ms. Bondi. This is a court of law." Pam nodded, her voice steel. "Then I trust the law will apply as written, not twisted by partisanship." The pause was electric, a drumbeat before a revelation. Pam reached into her folder, producing a single page, placing it on the table with surgical calm. "For the record," she said, "I submit a DOJ timeline confirming I was in a classified session on judicial overreach during the cited delay." Chutkan didn't glance at it. This court isn't obligated to entertain excuses. Pam's eyebrow arched. "Even when those excuses involve political targeting of legal defense funds?" Chutkan's gavel hovered, her voice sharp. "This isn't a venue for conspiracy theories." Pam tilted her head. "Then why does only one side of the aisle get fined for 6 minutes late?" A murmur spread, small but seismic. The bailiff glanced at the screen. A phone's red dot blinked in the back. Pam wasn't delaying a hearing. She was dismantling a lie. "Please pull up the sanction log," she told the clerk, her 6 words shifting the room's gravity. The clerk hesitated, sensing the spark about to ignite. Chutkan blinked. "This isn't a discovery hearing." Pam's voice was calm, lethal. "No, Your Honor, it's a truth hearing." The gallery stilled, the bailiff leaning toward the bench, instincts flaring. Pam placed a USB drive on the clerk's desk. "This is a DOJ request from last week. 6 months of sanctions from this courthouse. If we're punishing, and lateness, let's ensure it's blind." Chutkan's finger tapped her robe, her silence louder than words. The clerk inserted the drive, the projector humming to life. The screen flared. "Administrative sanctions, Eastern District of Pennsylvania, past 6 months. Total cases, 73. Republican, Trump-linked, 68 sanctioned. Progressive NGOs, 0 excused. Others, 5 minor warnings." The numbers burned into the room, undeniable, unapologetic. Pam let the silence settle, then clicked to the next slide. Rick Alvarez, DNC advisor, 20 minutes late, no penalty. Judge Tanya Chutkan. A gasp broke the hush, a curse whispered. Pam faced Chutkan, her voice calm but cutting. "This isn't conjecture, Your Honor, it's arithmetic." Chutkan's voice tightened. "Statistics can be spun, Ms. Bondi." Pam's chin lifted. "So can fairy tales, but only one fines people $200 for 6 minutes if they vote wrong." The screen glowed, facts unyielding. Pam produced an email, reading aloud. "As of January 10th, we're directed to flag and penalize GOP-affiliated individuals for administrative violations. Discretion minimized for optics." She held it high. "This isn't enforcement. It's theater, and we know who's directing." The gallery stirred, no longer spectators but jurors. A young man's phone recorded. the timestamp 9:42 a.m. A former Marine by the door stood straighter, his stance a silent salute. Pam lowered the email, her voice resolute. I'm not here to argue lateness. I'm here to expose bias. If justice favors one side, it's not justice. It's factionalism in robes. Chutkan's voice was wire-tight. You're politicizing the judiciary. Pam leaned forward. No, I'm depoliticizing it by exposing what it's become. The clerk stopped typing. A gray-haired man adjusted his glasses. A legal aid lawyer clutched her notepad. Chutkan reached for her gavel but didn't strike, her hesitation a crack in her armor. The silence wasn't order, it was reckoning. A man rose, his suit worn, his voice gravelly. 2 years ago, I was fined $300 for being 5 minutes late, post-chemotherapy. They said, you people need accountability. Now I know what you people means. No one stopped him. His truth cut deeper than any transcript. A woman, a seasoned attorney, stood next. I've watched colleagues leave this courtroom in tears, not for losing, but for never having a chance to fight. We prep apologies, not arguments, because the verdict's set before the date. A whisper from the back, she's right, spread like wildfire. A young man flipped his phone vertical, sending 37 seconds of footage. Pam's confrontation, the screen's numbers, Chutkan's silence, to the world. By noon, Courtroom bias and a justice hijacked trended, the clip remixed with beats and side-by-side comparisons of unequal justice. The courtroom wasn't loud, it was alive, unplugged from neutrality's illusion. Chutkan sat frozen, her gavel untouched, no longer the star, but the subject. Pam didn't speak again. She didn't need to. She'd broken the fourth wall, making the audience part of the truth. An older woman whispered, "This ends today," her voice a spark igniting a movement. As the court adjourned, the story outran the room, no longer a clip, but a tidal wave. On Capitol Hill, the House Judiciary Committee launched an inquiry into judicial bias, headlines blaring, "Congress probes courtroom corruption after viral exposé." Within weeks, the Judicial Integrity and Transparency Act emerged. No political expression by judges, public disciplinary records, a citizen oversight board, teachers, veterans, everyday Americans holding the gavel accountable. The legal elite scoffed, but public fury, fueled by millions of views, made reform unstoppable. Chutkan was suspended pending review, her silence deafening, her supporters unable to spin the math. In her office, Pam hung a framed receipt, $200 paid, citation, administrative contempt, with a handwritten note, "I paid the fine, they paid the price." It wasn't about money, it was about truth. Weeks later, at George Washington University Law School, Pam spoke to a packed auditorium, not as a partisan, but as a warrior. "Justice doesn't lean left or right," she said. "It stands tall." She left the stage, no fanfare, just impact. Inspired, law students launched Civic Bench Watch, a grassroots network to monitor courtroom bias. Their motto fierce, "We don't care your side. If you bend the law, we'll straighten the record." The question now is yours. When justice picks sides, who holds the gavel accountable? Like, subscribe, and comment. Would you stand like Pam? Join us for more stories where truth doesn't shout, it stands.